Good afternoon and welcome to a very special interview show of the Prode. On April 22nd, India witnessed one of the most horrific terror attacks in its recent history. In the serene valley of Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, attackers launched a brutal assault on innocent tourists, killing 28 civilians. This marks the deadliest such incident in India since the 2008 Mumbai attacks. The Resistant Front, widely believed to be an offshoot of the UN-designated terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba, initially claimed responsibility for the massacre. The Indian government swiftly condemned the attack and accused the Pakistani state of supporting cross-border terrorism. In a firm response, India also took strategic actions related to the Indus Water Treaty and adjusted its diplomatic posture, sending a clear message that acts of terror against Indian civilians will not go unanswered. This attack has significantly escalated tensions between India and Pakistan, raising serious concerns about the possibility of a limited scale conflict in the region. Joining me from India to shed light on this critical issue and what it means for security in South Asia is General Anil Malik, who has served as the Director General of Discipline, Ceremonials, and Welfare of the Indian Army and has held key international defense roles, including Chief Advisor to the Indian Military Advisory Team in Zambia and Director of Security Affairs at the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, where he led India's defense cooperation with Eurasian nations. With his extensive experience in military strategy and global diplomacy, General Malik brings rare insight into the state of India's internal security, the broader geopolitical implications of this attack, and the path forward. Jal Saab, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the Prode.
Thank you, Ritwik. Delighted to be here.
Sir, I would like to begin the discussion by asking that what are your thoughts on the Pahalgam massacre, particularly the targeted killing of tourists in Kashmir's Pahalgam region?
We are well aware that this terrorist movement that has been on in Kashmir for ages. There have been serious moments. We've had a number of attacks, Pulwama, and going back in time, there have been many such occasions. But this one has come as a very severe lapse. And one is pained to even imagine what civilian people have had to go through. Tourists who came with brightness, looking at the new developed Kashmir, where the local people were looking forward to brighter days ahead. Employment was being generated, but this has been a little bit of a setback. How we move forward is a system which needs to be put into place. There has been targeting innocent civilians is a new methodology. Looking at talking about religion is a new methodology which has occurred and which has got very grave and severe consequences. Obviously, the people involved, and I would say more the people behind the actual perpetrators, have a much deeper design. And that deeper design flowed from the fact that gradually over the years, they realized they were losing control of things in Kashmir. It has taken the present government 6 years to bring development into this country. Kashmir is now looking different. We are looking at lakhs of tourists visiting. And when tourists visit, the sun rises looks quite different. The people saw hope. Tourism, which had been dead for years, people had been without jobs, there was no semblance of order in that state for years to go. And started off in 1990, it kept deteriorating. Removal of Article 370 and 35 brought hope back into the humanity. Integration with the mainland had become a reality. Okay, so the purpose of behind this whole thing was to bring about disorder into what was appearing as a brighter future.
Yeah. So given that
We also found that in this particular instance, a very deliberate attempt was being made to bring about a communal divide. Fortunately, the political field has shown a lot of maturity. The political parties in Kashmir have shown a lot of maturity. And they have realized that instead of the path they were following earlier, but being part of the main system, and it's very heartening to see the response that has come. So the purpose of bringing about a divide, spreading that divide all over the country, instigating communal, they were hoping to instigate communal riots in the country. That has fallen flat. So while it was a very sad incident, but it's also brought back a fresh hope.
Given that the terror outfit named PRF has claimed responsibility for the attack and operates across India's western border, whom do you hold accountable for this incident, and how do you assess the role of Pakistan's military government and its deep state in relations to this event? Because there have been several reports that highlights that TRF operates from Pakistan.
Okay, we are well aware of the situation in Pakistan itself. They've had major setbacks. The army is being looked at by suspicion within the country. The Pakistan military no more commands the respect which they were getting earlier. There is fear in the common man in Pakistan. You know, their economy is in dumps. That their debt position is so bad that, in fact, we talk about maybe their survival is about 20 days and 25 days. The situation which has developed in Balochistan is, you know, the attack on the train recently, on the army. So the army is being attacked regularly. Right? I would say that the Frankenstein the Pakistanis created over the years has come back onto them. The situation on the western borders, Taliban is no more their friend. In fact, Taliban is negotiating with India, right, to bring about their own development. So that is one situation which they're going through. They're going through their problems in Balochistan. The economy is in bad shape. The army is under suspicion. The present government itself in doldrums. The only person who was looked at with hope, Imran Khan, is locked up. So he doesn't. Now all these factors, if you put together, so it is that Pakistan army, which when we talk about deep state in Pakistan, it means the Pakistan army, the ISI and such like elements, which are actually the deep state. That they realize that things are going, if they have to win back the confidence of the people, then they have to create a situation where the attention of the people is distracted, the people unite, which any country would happen when there is a adverse situation, a warlike situation develops. They are also well aware, while they were well aware, that conventional war has never suited Pakistan, right? But yet they took this action, but with the hope that they will be able to take control of the situation in their own country. And that is why this program, this action was started off by so the Pakistan army, the present chief, Asim Munir, looked at it in a situation that here is how we can bring about normalcy within our own country. They also felt that India has gone to the brink a number of times, right? And they still feel that our reactions are going to be such that audible. We did Balakot, we did attack on the camps, and thereafter situation got back to normal. So in spite of knowing that they are not in a position to take on India, yet they have taken this plunge. They have also taken on this plunge as to bring about, maybe take care of the government, remove the present government and get back into things. I think just yesterday, Lieutenant General Mohammed Anil Malik, who was the ISI head, has also been given additional responsibility of the National Security Advisor. Though officially he reports to the Prime Minister, right? But yet the control lies, we know where, with the army. Okay? So these are situations. So without any ambiguity, while TRF, Jaish-e-Mohammed, all these groups will keep operating, but the control lies somewhere, and the blame for this lies right at the doorstep of the Pakistan.
So coming to Pakistan's government, so Pakistan's Prime Minister has called for a neutral inquiry into the incident. Do you support this call, and how would a neutral inquiry evolve, and which international stakeholders should be engaged to ensure its impartiality? And how do you see the support of countries like China and Turkey towards Pakistan in this whole situation?
It's been generations. Throughout my life, I've heard of outside people being brought into things. The UN had it. We've had the advisory group in Pakistan and India. We've had the Bombay episode, okay, where the thought went on to having a joint verification, joint. This is Pakistan's standard response. Do you feel that any kind of people, this is also a step towards preventing India from taking any firm action? Right. So this is a bait being thrown. Okay, let's have a team, your team, my team get together. We'll have a captain from outside who will sit and decide as to what this is. Who did this? Don't we all know what this game is? Okay. These are all delay tactics. Maybe somebody may think in India, okay, yeah, it's a good idea. Let's pehle baith ke baatcheet karte. I think that stage of baatcheet went off long back. We are not interested in any more of that. We today are very determined. I think the Prime Minister made it very, very clear. Okay, we are going to hit. We are going to hit hard. We are going to hit at time and place of our choosing, and we will take decisive action to put this terrorism business to an end permanently. So the question of having joint commission, joint meetings, sitting across the table headed by some third country is a no-go. Absolutely, India is never going to accept this. So the question of what kind of forum can be created doesn't arise, because it's not going to work at all. In earlier episodes, we've stopped talks with them. We said, okay, no cricket in Pakistan. We'll go in Dubai and play cricket, right? This time we are very, very sure that stage has long been crossed, right? So there's going to be decisive action. There's going to be very clear-cut mandate. The objective is very clear, that we have to put a stop to this terrorism once for all. And we will not accept any more of these delay tactics of let's have talks and let's sit across the table or get somebody else to. What are they going to come and decide? That the episode that happened in Pulwama, or the episode that happened in Pahalgam, Pakistan was nowhere involved. Is that what we are looking for? That is what they are looking for. That no, it's not us, it's local terrorists who are involved. The present lot, whether it's we call it by whatever name, TRF or anybody, are nothing to do with with Pakistan. Okay, so is that what the purpose of this joint analysis is? Or do we first exchange papers and say, okay, look, we have this proof of this, and no, these guys are not us. So, it's not a workable thing, and it's never going to take place. I'm very sure of that.
And how do you see the support of countries like China and Turkey and the OIC nations taking place in this whole scenario?
Okay, we all know that as far as China is concerned, okay, China has interests in Pakistan. Beside the fact that we both don't get on too well with each other, we have differences on geographical issues, on understanding of where the borders run, and there are things they claim Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, all these factors are there, but that is not getting them directly involved with us. An episode that took place in Galwan, right? But they are not getting directly involved with us. So while they can support Pakistan, they can support militarily into the extent that they could provide them equipment. Okay, they could provide them intelligence, but whether it is use of satellite intelligence or any technological support that is required could be provided. China's we could even look at maybe Indian defense sites and government sites being hacked. A cyber attack could form part, should the situation so be required, when there is an open confrontation between the two countries militarily. You could look at cyber support being provided, your communication getting jammed, your economic systems getting jammed, right? This is where the Chinese support can come. But in no way can we look at China mobilizing its forces and getting into a confrontation with you. Okay. That's not going to happen. Indirect support, definitely. China has interest in getting into the Arabian Sea using the Pakistan route. You know, the Gwadar port is a great asset for them, right? But that's where the support comes in, right? Yeah. Maybe support at the United Nations, okay, preventing censures against Pakistan, preventing Pakistan getting into problems with, I think, preventing UN sanctions being imposed on Pakistan, should that ever come about, right? So that is as far as China is concerned. That as far as Turkey is concerned, I feel at the moment some bit of military support in terms of equipment. Okay, you know, there is no comparison between the equipment status of India and Pakistan, right? So they would be looking at they will be looking at support from these or the OIC countries in terms of intervention to the extent of supporting their stand, preventing sanctions being imposed on them, preventing any direct confrontation taking place, maybe pressurizing. They are looking at those countries pressurizing. How much of it's going to work? Because India today has a well-established status in the world. You know, India is important to the world today. Whether it's the OIC countries or it's the Western countries, everybody looks at India today, right? And therefore, we do not expect any direct involvement there. Yes, support in terms of morale boosting or in terms of at various forums, some bit of support, and also they are hoping that these countries will be able to impress upon India to avoid a kinetic action taking place, or should a warlike situation come about, then they hope that they will be able to get the support of these countries to prevent that from happening. Maybe some of them may be able to impress upon India as to the disadvantages of the collateral damage that could take place in such a confrontation. So that is the kind of support I look at from the OIC or these other Islamic countries, and Turkey in particular, right? China, as I mentioned to you, support, yes, but again, mainly in terms of some equipment support. Maybe some of the equipment that the Chinese have already provided to Pakistan is not in great shape. Okay, they're not even battle worthy, I would say. Right? So maybe enhancing those, giving them the repair support, giving them in a warlike situation develop, then even oil becomes a major requirement for all these things. And I don't think the Pakistanis have the capability, not more than 10 days of fighting capability that they have. So they need the support of this country. And basically, the aim is to get them to put pressure on India to avoid a direct confrontation.
Yeah. So in response to the attack, India has taken specific actions concerning the Indus Water Treaty and adjusted its diplomatic posture. So how do you assess India's strategic response, and what additional measures should be considered to effectively combat terrorism?
The first thing that we have to understand that India is a matured world power. Okay, we are not going to fall prey to emotions and the normal television or the people's requirement as to it's 4 days, 22nd today, it's now 10 days, right? And nothing has happened, right? There are people who will be looking at every night. Today they're going to attack. All the fronts are going to be opened up, and there's going to be an open war taking place. But India, if you noticed, have taken a very matured stance. They are going to hit them. But as I mentioned a little while back, time, place of own choosing, and we are in no hurry. Okay. So certain immediate actions were called for and which were taken, like firstly the Indus Water Treaty being held in abeyance. Okay. It's not been suspended. It's not been revoked. It's held in abeyance. What that involves is that should the Pakistan response to our requirements on terrorism be adequate, the treaty will start functioning again. And what does the treaty involve at the moment? Right. At the moment, the treaty involves only no joint inspections going to take place. We don't have to tell them that what additional facility we are creating, like more dams, more hydroelectric power stations being created. In the old days, it meant that you had to share the plans with them. Both had to agree on how things were to go. So the present, now with this treaty being held in abeyance, we don't have to consult them, right? So we are going to speed up our plans of. There are nearly 54 such projects in the pipeline, right? Some already in things, some already approved in the pipeline, some in approval. Some of them have been created as national assets, or all this business of land acquisition and all is overcome, right? So that is going to happen. As far as the water is concerned, right? We all know that it's not suddenly that you switched off a tap and no more water, right? But it gives you the right to flushing of water. It gives you the right of putting in the water. And as you know, the last, I think Monday, we had this situation where the Chenab and Jhelum, the water was thick. Now, the Pakistanis do not have the storage capacity for this water. So they said extra water is right? The water requirements have gone up over the years, and the population has gone up. The climate itself has brought down the water problems, right? The water has decreased, the water requirement has come, but the water requirements have gone up. Right? Okay. Now, these are factors where we could control them. So these are the short-term measures that will take place. But meanwhile, in the long term, we are going to create more dams are going to come up, which so far, because I said you have to have joint inspections and joint approvals before such projects could come up. But that we have overcome, right? And also we made sure that we are not at under pressure to share the data with them as to how much water is there, right? Yeah, we can use it the way we want. Okay. Now that is as far as the water issue is concerned. Agreed. Immediately, the normal knowledge goes that tomorrow morning there's going to be no water for Pakistan. It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
So, and also, you've got to keep in mind that we cannot deprive them completely of water. After all, there are the UN conventions, right, which neither Pakistan nor China nor us are signatories. Right, the UN Convention of 1967, but we are signatories to the Sustainable Development Goal 6, where if you deprive the country of water, it can amount to a human rights violation. And definitely India is not going to fall into that trap of committing such violations. Okay. So that's as far as the water is concerned. In the long term, of course, we'll develop more infrastructure, more storage capacities to be developed even by us. So that's as far as water is concerned. But this is going to be now an all-out. It is not limited. And war, as you know, is always the last resort. Okay. And today, we have many domains in which we can put pressure on the Pakistan. And first of all, the first venture has always been the diplomatic front. You know, India has sounded the world that enough is enough. The message is very clear. We are not going to take this anymore, right? So we want the international community to understand our issues, understand where we are facing problems, understand how it is affecting the lives of whatever Pakistan may talk about, right? There is no ambiguity whatsoever that as far as India is concerned, Kashmir is an integral part of India. There were always apprehensions that there would be a backlash moment Article 370 is removed. You are well aware that it is now an accepted form that Article 370 does not exist. Kashmir is an integral part of India. We were coming up to the stage of bringing about full statehood back to the country, to Jammu and Kashmir, which may get delayed for some time. We brought about tourists. You should have seen the euphoria which was there with the tourists. And this is one of the reasons why you feel that the response from the local population was in favor of the actions that are going to take place. Right? There was no, Srinagar observed complete Kashmir Bandh was there on the 23rd, right? But that was to condemn the terrorist action, condemn Pakistan's action, rather than of the earlier era when bandhs used to take place denouncing India. There were no anti-India statements made right? So so diplomatic is one thing. We would always like to get back what is ours, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. But then constraint there also keeps you occupied. You don't want a situation to escalate, right? You may want to localize the situation, take localized action, right? And not convert it into a big war-like situation. You don't want it to become an all-out war. So that is why restraint will always be there. We take actions accordingly. We have the resources, we have the infrastructure, we can do to them what we visualize that somebody else can do to us in terms of cyber, and we have the wherewithal for it. We have the resources in space to take control of situations. And as far as the militarily is concerned, I think we are talking about it some time, but the fact of the matter is we are so well established. Our missile capability, our long-range weaponry capability, our air force capabilities, our naval capabilities, right, are well established. So but that is the later stage, which I said the last resort. Okay.
Yeah.
Economic pressures, right? We know Pakistan's economy is in doldrums. Right? Stoppage of trade. Is going to have major impact on Pakistan. We have a lot of trade which goes on between the two countries. Right? But the moment you stop that, it's going to hit Pakistan as it is very badly. Okay. So there are numerous measures which are in place, and I wouldn't like to go into any detail because I think these are actions which the government, the present armed forces systems are in place. I'm sure they worked out their options well. But like I said, there is no hurry. It doesn't happen to happen tomorrow. It can happen 1 month. It can happen 2 months. It can happen 3 months. So there's no hurry about it, right? But measures will come into place, and it is going to be number of measures, not one measure that is going to be initiated. Okay.
Do you believe that there is a genuine risk of full-scale war between India and Pakistan? And how do you assess the defense capabilities of India in such a scenario?
Okay, I maybe mentioned some of this in the last question, but the fact of the matter is, nobody wants war. Huh? And particularly as a soldier, I would never propagate that war is an option. Right? War is the last option. Okay. The fact of the matter is that, but you can, sometimes when things get escalated, the resultant actions may not be in your control. Okay. Should the Pakistanis get pressurized, right? And let's say I'm trying to localize a particular action, like during Kargil, we were able to localize the action. There were no spillovers, right? Pakistan may want to open another front in the plains, let's say, in the desert area, to provoke India to get into a full-fledged war. Okay. The minor incidents, right? Show of force they're already doing. You know that they've deployed their strike corps has been deployed in places, their artillery, ceasefire violations are on the move, they're revoked. Shimla agreement, they're not talking about it. And so they are trying to provoke you. Okay. But it is to our credit and our maturity not to get to that, because after all, a full-scale war has implications, right? And we can all understand the collateral damage that takes place. It's going to hit both, while Pakistan's economy is going to get hit in any case, but obviously it will have impact on, and definitely lives will be lost. Okay. Who wants to lose lives? I wouldn't like my soldiers to be killed. So we will take actions, but try and ensure the actions do not cross the threshold. Okay. We also want to ensure that that is where our diplomatic channels will be kept open. You know, we've been our foreign minister has been very active, keeping the world informed as to, and I'm sure before any such actions take place, we will keep the world informed, and that's where we are looking at. We've created that impact on the globe today, right? The Americans have openly come out and said, yes, we support actions. But there are also apprehensions that sometimes such support extends to the feeling that, okay, go ahead, do what you want, we are there with you, right? Maybe it may not be in our interest to always go that way, right? So while we will be taking actions, we'll keep the world informed, we'll try and reduce the collaterals, we'll make sure things act there will be military action, kinetic actions as the term goes. There will be, all this will happen, right? But it'll be tried to be kept localized. We don't want things. Now you're coming to your question of, do we have the wherewithal? Okay. First of all, you're aware that the Indian defense budget is 10 times that of Pakistan, right? Our missiles are, whether it's airborne or ground-based or naval craft-based, we have the capability to hit anywhere in Pakistan. And I'm talking about conventional things, right? We also got to understand that Pakistan defense minister made a statement that our nuclear weapons are not meant for display. They are meant to be used. So a threat was issued out to us. I think he's being daft about it. He must understand that the one nuclear weapon that he uses will be the last nuclear weapon ever fired by. Okay. Right? Because the response then is going to be very, very hard, and it's going to make sure that Pakistan may cease to exist. So that our military capability, both in conventional terms, in terms of air strikes, the navy. You know, you are well aware of our naval capability. 2 aircraft carriers, Pakistan doesn't even have one. Right in 1971 war, we were able to carry out naval blockade of Karachi. So take yourself 50 years, 54 years to be precise, ahead and see the enhanced capabilities that technology. India is a world power as far as technology is concerned. Okay. So in terms of numbers, because in areas like the mountains and the jungles, it is the boots on the ground which matter, right? And if those are some of our areas of concern because of the terrorist activity that goes on there, then we have the wherewithal for that. So without getting into too much of details, the fact of the matter is that we are well prepared. Our troops are well trained. We have the necessary equipment, and we are capable of giving Pakistan a very, very rough and a bloody nose.
Yeah. So now coming to another angle to it, and that is the involvement of Hamas. So reports have indicated that Hamas was involved in the planning of the attack, with representatives allegedly visiting Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So how do you interpret this development, and what implications might it have on a broader regional security? And the Israeli ambassador to India has also drawn parallels between this attack and the October 7th attacks, citing similarities in the modus operandi, terrorists targeting tourists in a leisure setting. So, what are your views on this comparison? And do you think the Hamas was involved in any shape or form in this sort of attack?
I personally am not too sure whether this the statement made by the Israelis as to drawing similarities, right? The similarity ends to the extent that it was a sensational event, okay, which we were not fully prepared for, as it happened on 7th of October. So that's where the similarity ends, right? The objectives here were quite different. Objectives was to prevent further development taking place in Kashmir, telling the people of Kashmir that we are still with you, trying to send that message. You know, over the period of time, the Pakistani influence had died out, okay, particularly in the valley portion. Okay, in the last 1 year, we saw south of Pir Panjal terrorist activities taking place, but particularly in the valley, it had died down, right? So the fear of Pakistan was to be left out of the Kashmir people, and the people of Kashmir disowning any kind of thing to do with Pakistan. Okay, it was an incident created. Okay, you could draw comparison to the extent that sensational thing took place. Now, as far as the whether the Hamas was, I feel my personal thought process is that Hamas is now getting out of the areas of their control, because the Israelis will make sure that, I mean, the objective is very clear that they are going to finish Hamas once for all, right? The Israelis have made it without any ambiguity. They made this statement. So maybe they are getting out of there and trying to find safer places to operate. Okay, because their own survival depends on clearing out from Gaza and such areas. Okay, even I would say that the Palestinians are gradually losing faith in the Hamas. Okay, they don't see them as saviors anymore, because you have finished their livelihood, you have finished their home, their children. You have to see we watch on television as to how they are suffering, right? So gradually they are losing faith in the Hamas, and the stage will come where the people will say, "Okay, please go away from here," right? And that stage is already coming. So one, that is my viewpoint, particularly that they themselves are trying to get out of that area, and this is a safer option, right? Um, Number two, that okay, they will be trying to get into help in planning, what maybe some tactical advisor, okay, right? But the overall control still remains with the Pakistan army. There will be a small incident, and it is not that it happened overnight. These people, this group has been there. There are no terrorist camps in India. There are small, or 4 people somewhere, 6 people somewhere. A methodology may have been taught, but the message that was there, I don't think the message to bring about a communal divide, okay, because of certain incidents that had taken place within India, which are gradually being brought under control. The message was there to bring about this community. So I don't think the Hamas has any say in that. Yes, if the Pakistanis, over a period of time, allow the Hamas to take control of all this entire terrorism and say, okay, Pakistan army is not involved anymore. Now let the Hamas conduct all these operations. Let the Hamas operate where they want, right? Then obviously it has implications. How are their relationships going to be with the Pakistanis? How are they going to manage their relationship with the Taliban? Are the Taliban and Hamas going to be moving hand in glove together? Okay. And then this now is great. Then if Hamas starts operating and acting in this, this is now definitely it's going to have a global impact. So the countries other than India, whether it is UK, Europe, United States, even the Russians, and I don't think the Chinese in any way are going to allow this Hamas to get activated in that area, because one of the, besides India having problems to some extent, the Chinese are not going to allow them to be there. That's their lifeline. Their access to the Arabian Sea, okay, access to the Indian Ocean, which is a major concern to China. After all, China has got issues about coming through the Malacca Strait. In the long run, they are facing problems in the Pacific. So Indian Ocean is something which is of great concern. China is building great relationship with the West Asia also, right? So allowing this Hamas to start controlling territory within Pakistan, I don't think has got a. There are initial reports. There are people who have visited, gone back. Some of them may have been still hanging around there because. But in the long run, I don't think they are going to be allowed to get a foothold there. Whether it is India who prevents it, whether it is the Pakistanis who prevent it, whether it is China who prevents it, or the world combines to prevent Hamas from getting into these areas.
Yeah. Coming to another critical question, which has been overlooked by the mainstream media, that, security lapses that have happened. So what security lapses, if any, have occurred on India's side, and how can India address these vulnerabilities in order to enhance its security and prevent similar incidents from happening in the future?
Okay, there was an era when terrorism was a very active thing in the Kashmir Valley. And the forces were controlling all these areas. Every day there were encounters, there were operations launched to prevent the terrorists from operating. Gradually, what has happened? A sense of normalcy started appearing. Okay, sense of I would say that people started feeling more comfortable. One of the first signs was infrastructure development that started taking place in the valley. The state was under central rule for. The new government is in position, but gradually a sense of complacency sets. So I would, yes, definitely there were slip-ups. Areas which were completely dominated by the armed forces, the army or the paramilitary forces. Some of them were gradually relaxed. Areas which were totally controlled. If today X area was being looked after by a particular force, now that same force is looking after maybe 2 or 3 areas, right? Because it can happen anywhere. So obviously those slippages started taking place. Then technology. A lot of dependence started coming on technology. Oh, intelligence gathering now, drones and space and all kinds of communication equipment to keep track. So, so instead of boots on the ground and human int, okay, so human int got second place while we switched over to these technological. But I'm afraid this is one clear example which came out that in areas like this, in mountain terrain, in jungles, it is human intelligence which matters the most. For people moving from place A to B, right, may be difficult to keep track in jungles which are totally covered. But individual people, the locals, while the locals have also, there are occasions when the locals, but for any kind of terrorist activity take place, insurgency take place, you need local support. Because after all, they're not come there with set up a camp and they're going to survive on whatever they carry with them. So local support, whether it is by coercion, whether their people are being threatened, or fearing for their lives to support them, or some people who may have been convinced by the ideology. Okay. So in such cases, it is always that local support will be there. The locals can tell you that this is the road to get to so-and-so place, this is the fastest way. Some of them may act as guides, right? Okay. May provide them logistical support. But then it is this, there is a large number of the society which are also working for the security forces. The security forces also bank on the local support. So that's where the human intelligence. Now, again, they are the guys who know the area completely. Okay. A soldier comes in from somewhere else. It's going to take time for him to understand the terrain, understand routes, where does the water, where can the rivers be crossed, right? So they are the people who keep you informed as to what is happening, somebody is moving there, somebody's actually there. And like I told you, they're very small groups. Huh? They're not large forces operating anywhere, that there is a camp of 100 terrorists there, right? So the local support is important. Gradually, we lost sight of this human intelligence. Okay. But the fact that the people are there with you, the people want development, people want tourism to take off in a bigger way because that's their livelihood. Now we have this event coming up, the Amarnath Yatra, right? It happens in the same areas. Pahalgam, the Liderwad River, Chandanwadi, these are the routes for the pilgrims to be going. So obviously there are going to be firm actions now going to be taken to make sure that there is no interference with the Amarnath Yatra. Amarnath Yatra has been controlled so beautifully by the security forces over the years. We cannot allow this kind of an episode to shake up the confidence of the rest of the country that Amarnath Yatra could not take place. Right? So obviously they're going to, all the loopholes are going to be tied up and make sure that while it may become like a war zone to prevent any episode taking place, there will be actions taking place at every level to hunt out the terrorists and to eliminate them. And definitely this period before the Amarnath Yatra is very, very critical.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your deep insights on this grave national crisis. As India stands resilient in the face of terror, this conversation underscores the urgent need for unity, strategy, and global solidarity. Thank you so much, sir, once again for joining.
Thank you. It is a pleasure talking to you. We are hoping that Normalcy comes very soon. Pakistan understands the implication. Pakistan accepts the fact that uh, the disturbance that will be caused, Pakistanis are able to impose upon their own leadership and the army that it is not in our interest. We are going to be in great trouble. I'm sure there are sane people there. Okay. Uh, I saw a video of a discussion taking place, a panel discussion, where everybody felt that we need to take care more of ourselves, more of our economy, and stop focusing on what is happening in Kashmir. Look inwards, take any deep insight. Secondly, as far as we are also concerned, whenever there is a lapse, we have to look inwards and ensure that learn those lessons and make sure that those elements are repeated. And I'm sure that is being done by the people who are involved. Let the security forces do their job. Let the government take the right decisions. We have to make the right sounds on the international stage. We have to convince people that we are right. Our people are being killed. A lot of attempts are being made to disrupt our economy. India is going by leaps and bounds. There are attempts being made. The government is going to take stock of all these things. And I can assure you that maybe the next time we have a chat, things will be much brighter. The uncertainty causes a lot of problems, right? But this uncertainty is going to remain for some time because we have to create that uncertainty not only for the Pakistanis. You know, this uncertainty, when he was expecting a strike the next morning or 2 days later, he's deployed all his formations. See the cost that he's going to go through for this. So let's hope we are looking at brighter things happening. But it's going to happen. Very determined government in position to make sure that no more is acceptable.